The vast blue expanse of the West Philippine Sea hides a growing tension. On October 22, 2025, China quietly escalates its presence, deploying buoys as silent declarations of sovereignty. These are not mere navigational aids, they are markers of Beijing's claim over waters vital to its neighbors and the world. The calm is deceptive. Beneath it, a geopolitical storm brews, threatening Southeast Asia's fragile balance. China's strategy is both subtle and bold. The buoys are a physical extension of the controversial 9-line, encroaching deep into Philippine waters. For the Philippines, these markers are a direct challenge, a violation of waters their fishermen have relied on for generations. Chinese Coast Guard vessels, larger and more aggressive, now patrol with increasing frequency, shadowing Filipino boats and resupply missions. This is gray zone warfare, pushing boundaries, eroding the status quo, and testing the resolve of the Philippines without triggering open conflict. The West Philippine Sea is a global artery. 1/3 of the world's shipping passes through these waters each year. Any disruption here could have catastrophic consequences for the global economy. The buoys are more than markers. They are signposts on a dangerous path, challenging international norms and laws. The world watches, uncertain if this unsettling calm is the prelude to a larger confrontation. The Philippines faces a test of sovereignty and resolve. China's ambitions are clear, but so is the risk. A single misstep could ignite a crisis. The stakes are high, and the calm is only on the surface. Beneath, the struggle for control intensifies. China frames its buoys as tools for safety or research, but their placement tells another story. Strategically positioned within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, these buoys transform from aids to political statements. Each one is an anchor for China's sweeping territorial claims, part of a broader pattern: artificial islands, maritime militia, and now, floating markers. The goal is to normalize China's presence, one buoy at a time. For Filipino fishermen, these markers are warnings. Traditional fishing grounds now watched by a foreign power. Livelihoods are threatened, and entire coastal communities feel the impact. By placing buoys without permission, China undermines Philippine sovereignty and international law. Manila has responded with its own buoys, creating a symbolic standoff, a battle of legitimacy in one of the world's most important waterways. The confrontation is quiet but intense, played out with beacons instead of bullets. Each side signals its claim, but the underlying struggle is for control and recognition. The stakes are not just territorial, they are about national dignity and the rule of law. The world's eyes remain fixed on these floating symbols of conflict. The tension now extends to the skies. Chinese fighter jets patrol near Philippine-held islands, projecting military might and psychological pressure. These flights test response times, gather intelligence, and assert aerial dominance. For Filipino outposts, the roar of jet engines is a stark reminder of their isolation and the military imbalance. China's goal: normalize its military presence, making each flight seem routine and less provocative. Manila responds with diplomatic protests and limited air patrols, but the disparity in air power is clear. The shadow of Chinese wings over the West Philippine Sea raises the risk of miscalculation. Each flyby is a message. China can project power by sea and sky. The stakes grow higher with every pass. The Philippines refuses to back down. Manila's new transparency strategy exposes Chinese actions. Photos, videos, and reports rally international support. The Philippine Coast Guard and Navy step up patrols, facing down larger Chinese vessels with determination. Resupply missions to Ayungin Shoal become high-stakes tests of will, Filipino crews showing courage under pressure. Diplomatically, Manila strengthens alliances, especially with the United States, and builds coalitions with regional partners. Joint patrols and military exercises send a clear message: the Philippines is not alone. Public support is strong. Fishermen, civil society, and citizens unite in defense of their rights. This defiance is more than policy. It's national will. The struggle is for sovereignty, dignity, and the future of the West Philippine Sea. The nation stands firm, determined to defend what it rightfully owns. Today's tensions are rooted in a long, tangled history. China's 9-line, first drawn in 1947, claims nearly the entire South China Sea based on vague historical rights. Other nations, Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, Taiwan, base their claims on geography and international law, especially UNCLOS. The discovery of oil and gas transformed the dispute from fishing rights to a competition for resources. In the 1990s, China's occupation of Mischief Reef inside Philippine waters marked a turning point, showing its willingness to use force. ASEAN tried to negotiate a code of conduct, but progress has been slow. Meanwhile, China built artificial islands, militarizing the sea with runways and missile systems. The conflict is now about more than territory. It's about power, resources, and the rules that govern the region. This history shapes every standoff and every negotiation today. Understanding the past is key to grasping the stakes of the present. In 2013, the Philippines turned to international law, challenging China's claims at The Hague. The 2016 tribunal ruling was clear. China's 9-dash line has no legal basis, and its island building violates Philippine rights. The verdict was a landmark for the rule of law, but China rejected it outright, calling it null and void. Beijing's defiance continues, building up its military presence and harassing Filipino vessels. This disregard for international law undermines the global order and the UNCLOS framework. For Manila, the ruling remains a powerful tool, a legal and moral foundation for its claims. The struggle is now between a rules-based order and the principle of might makes right. The Philippines stands on solid legal ground, but enforcement remains elusive. The world faces a test: will law or power decide the future of the sea? The answer will shape the region for decades. The West Philippine Sea is now a stage for US-China rivalry. The United States insists on freedom of navigation and peaceful dispute resolution, referencing the 2016 arbitral ruling. US Navy warships conduct freedom of navigation operations, directly challenging China's claims. The US-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty is a key deterrent. Any attack on Philippine forces could draw in Washington. China must weigh the risk of escalation with the US before acting aggressively. The Philippines leverages this alliance, gaining access to US bases and joint military exercises. The region is a crowded chessboard, with Japan, Australia, and European powers also increasing their presence. Every move raises the risk of miscalculation. A single incident could spark a wider conflict. The West Philippine Sea is no longer a local dispute, it's a global flashpoint. The world's major powers are now deeply invested in its outcome. The stakes are higher than ever. The contest here will shape the Indo-Pacific's future. The conflict's economic impact is profound. Filipino fishermen lose access to traditional grounds, threatening livelihoods and national food security. The West Philippine Sea holds vast oil and gas reserves, resources the Philippines cannot tap due to Chinese obstruction. Globally, 1/3 of maritime trade, over $3 trillion, passes through these waters each year. Any conflict would disrupt supply chains, spike shipping costs, and destabilize economies worldwide. The constant threat of confrontation chills investment and diverts resources from development to defense. Regional cooperation on shared challenges, like environmental protection, is undermined. The ripples of instability threaten prosperity across Southeast Asia and beyond. The economic stakes are as high as the strategic ones. The world cannot afford a crisis in these waters. As of October 22, 2025, the West Philippine Sea stands at a crossroads. China's incremental pressure, buoys, jets, Coast Guard, tests the limits of international resolve. Each incident risks miscalculation and escalation, with the potential to draw in major powers. The region's stability depends on upholding a rules-based order and the 2016 arbitral ruling. The Philippines must continue transparency and defense, while allies provide support and deterrence. Only a united front can deter further unilateral actions. Beijing must be convinced that the costs of aggression outweigh the gains. Dialogue and diplomacy are essential, but must be backed by credible strength. The fate of the West Philippine Sea is a test for global governance in the 21st century. The world is watching. Choices made here will echo far into the future.